What is classy if you're rich, but trashy if you're poor? Being on a first name basis with a judge. Deleted. Or just get the $320 sandals. OMG, not even proper sandals. $320 shower shoes. It says in the care section that you should avoid getting them wet, lol. Okay. So, not even shower sandals. Lol. Wearing a bathrobe all day. That's just like, your opinion, man. It ties the room together. This dude abides. I'm actually an ordained Buddhist priest. Mattress on a child's floor. Montessori for the rich, looked down upon on the poor. Someone else raising your kids. Ha ha ha, isn't that the painful truth? Definite exceptions though. For instance, one of my employees is an immigrant who left his kids with their grandparents so he could send money back. The mother doesn't seem to be in the picture. He hasn't mentioned, and I won't be the one to bring it up. He says they live pretty well back home, but he only gets to go back once a year or so. His kids are definitely being raised by someone else, but goddamn if that isn't the furthest thing from trashy. Police escorts. Escorts. Courts. Scorts. Day drinking. It's 10 a.m. in Australia and I'm 8 beers deep. If you woke up before 9:30, you're behind. Can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. 10 before 10 or else 12 by 12. You know the rules. Casinos. Where I'm from, Western Australia, we only have one casino and you have to be 18 to get in. So when you're a young adult it kind of sits up on a pedestal as one of those places you have to go to. The first time I went I got all dressed up. My best shirt, dark dress pants, polished shoes. Looking as slick as a 18-year-old bogan could, and man was I so disappointed when I saw that 90% of everyone else there were old grannies feeding the pokies. Vegas was the same, just a lot of retirees in socks and sandals. But goddamn, those all-you-can-eat buffets are good, and the nice ladies that come and give you drinks for playing 1-cent pokey machines. Florida. Edit, born and raised in Florida, Gulf Coast, can confirm. Am I poor classy or rich trashy? Neither, I'm Floridian. Ha ha ha. So true. I lived in Florida for 3 years, and used to visit my grandparents there once a year when they were still alive. When I was little I thought everyone in Florida had a huge house and a boat, and was probably rich. After living there the wealth gap is insane. The coast is all super nice, but go inland a few miles, and it's mostly the breeding ground of the infamous Florida man. And I've never seen a place where everyone was on top of each other like in Florida either. Usually rich people and poor people have their own neighborhoods, but Orlando has $1 million lakefront houses 2 doors away from $200,000 old ranch homes from the 60s 70s. Not working. While still getting an income. Lower class, welfare. Middle class, unemployment. Upper class, constant flow of assets. Edit, thanks for the awards and the upvotes. I want a constant flow of assets. The technical term is passive income. I know a guy who makes $200,000 per year for owning the ATMs in a few large strip clubs. Those $20 fees really add up, lol. Giving your kids hard to spell / say names. A12. Amazing how many things on this list Elon Musk does regularly. That is definitely trashy. X-A12 equals rich trashy. X-A12 Lin equals poor trashy. Doing coke. Reminds me of that news article about that wealthy woman dying at a party at a cocaine apartment or whatever. Baby, we call that a crack house. Username definitely checks out. Bando. Getting money from the government. If you are rich it I call the bailout. If you are poor you are a welfare queen and should work harder. Doesn't even have to be a bailout. Walmart tells some of its workers to apply for food stamps. So Walmart can subsidize their wages and then have their workers use those food stamps at the store. Sad thing is they lose their employee discount when using food stamps. Oh man, that is criminal, man. If you live in a tiny home it's eco-friendly, if you live in a trailer you're trash. There's a trailer park in Malibu and some of the trailers are a couple of $1 million. So you're rich for being in Malibu but still trashy for living in a trailer park and not a house in Malibu. Pamela Anderson had a trailer at one of those Malibu trailer parks, though not sure if Pam makes it more or less classy. Mobile homes, like actual mobile homes, can cost much more than a regular house. My grandmother had one for a while that cost $300K. Buying old cars. Those classy rich folk buying all of the 98 Grand Ams. Hey! I wanted that 1992 Cutlass. I had a 1981 beige Cutlass Supreme with sagging roof fabric in 1992. Does that count? I wish I could afford an 11-year-old car right now. Moving around a lot. Like a neuropathic tremor? Showering outside. I do this after a nice Daytona Beach swim. Wash my sins away under the sun. Wandering around half naked. I encourage my wife to do this regardless of our net wealth. It's spring break this week and the kids are out of the house. That's exactly what my husband and myself will be doing. Your kids are too. Nope, way too young for that. They're being shipped off to a family time with their adult sister and her spouse. Thrifting. Oh my gosh. My high school girlfriend was the master thrifter. She had the cutest clothes and this is what we would do on weekends. We'd thrift. I thought it was cute and super fun. My first year in college I realized how poor she actually was and she thrifted because that was literally all she could afford. It totally didn't dawn on me until then and it hit me like a brick. We still keep in touch. She is no longer poor. She is still an amazing thrifter. Poor kid here. I feel so fortunate to have been a teen when thrifting was all the rage. Used to be better TBH. Cheap prices and actually nice stuff. Goodwill, it was rare to find a pair of jeans more than $8. Tops were $4-ish and shoes were $10 absolute max. I miss those days lol. Minimalism. Yeah. Can you really call yourself a minimalist if you're just too poor to afford stuff? Being poor, minimalism is very useful TBH. It's also the only choice. Agreed. Was a minimalist by necessity as a young, and poor, person. Now that I can afford things, it's still my choice. Is my choice to be minimalist and it's my girlfriend's choice to get 3 cats and fill our bedroom with squishmallows. Pete Davidson. You win. I'm not even going to bother trying to think of one now, because it won't be this good, anyway. This is the correct answer. Also, since I saw a TikTok describing Pete as someone with burnout line cook energy, I can't see anything else. But this just tied for most apt description of Pete Davidson on Beyonce's internet. Wasn't it Chaos Goblin line cook? If you are weird and rich people call you eccentric, but if you are weird and poor people call you crazy. Wealthy loner, he's a misunderstood soul. Poor loner, he's a potential criminal. Such an artist fucking weird dude. I'm a broke artist and I've heard both of these. Such an artist war criminal. Having 5+ kids. And with different people. The most expensive thing you own is a really old car. Having way too many cars in the driveway/yard. Hey, I'm just waiting for the used car market to peak. But I can fix it though. Rich people say living frugal, we call it broke. I've dated an anesthesiologist on and off for years. He recently told me he needed to cut back for a few months. He has very few expenses and makes $40K/mo, so I was confused and asked why. He informed me he got an $80,000 tax bill. An $80,000 tax bill would crush me. Meanwhile, he's going to live frugally for a few months and pay it off like it's nothing. I would say designer clothes. Ain't nothing classy about flexing your shirt that cost you a month's wages. Poor people flex with designer clothes and accessories because a $200 Coach purse might be the only flex they can afford. If you can afford to live in a nice neighborhood, you can stroll out of your McMansion in pajamas and people will still know you have money. The richest people I know buy at thrift stores. They get their clothes from there. They own multiple properties so they don't need fancy appliances in all of them. They own beat-up trucks that stay on property. Rich enough they circumvent banks. Poor people care so much more about looking rich than any rich person ever would. It's scary. Logos and brand names all over everything, like they have something to prove. Mistresses. I saw this on a video some time ago and I'll repeat the response that came with it. Rich people have mistresses. Middle class people have affairs. Poor people have side pieces. My wife's family are wealthy. Oddly, even in some rich people circles, having a mistress is considered trashy as anything. They may not kick you out of the club, but by God will they talk shit about you behind your back. That shouldn't be odd. It's trashy no matter who does it. Unemployed. Anything to do with making/growing your own food and clothes/home decor. I want to start a garden just to have a hobby. I don't know much about plants, but we have a spot in the yard for a garden. Repurposing things such as jars, containers, boxes, old clothes, etc.